Hi folks, so we're in Photoshop. I've opened up a document already. I'm going to show you how to open a document. So I am clicking on Photoshop and I'm going to go to File, Open, and I have on my desktop this Mondrian-esque painting that I've done. So it's the wrong way. I need to rotate it. So the first thing I'm going to do is every time you open something in Photoshop, it creates a new layer. And notice the layer says background, and it's also a locked layer. So the first thing you want to do is double click on the layer, and then you say OK. And what it's done is made it a transparent layer. So opacity shows up here now. So if I go to opacity, and I slide the slider down, notice how you see this checkerboard pattern. That is showing me that it's a transparent layer. When you see the checkerboard, it's showing the transparency of it. So I'm going to put that back up, and I am going to hit Command T, which is Control T on the PC, and then I'm going to go up to my Edit menu, and I am going to go to, actually first I'm going to go to Image, and I'm going to rotate it clockwise, 90 degrees clockwise. So image rotation is under Image, and that rotates the whole thing. I'm going to do Command T again, and then I'm going to go to Transform, and I'm going to go to Distort. So what Distort does is it lets me pull this in all different directions. So notice you can see that it's not perfectly straight. You know, it was sort of, it's got this, it's slanted. That's the way I painted it. But also, if you photograph something, when you photograph it, it often doesn't come out straight. So you want to adjust that. So the way I'm going to do that is to, under View, I am going to make sure my rulers is clicked. So you see my rulers here, and then I'm going to drag some guides over so I can look and use this as a guide to direct my perpendicularity. I just made that word up. Okay. So now that I have Command T, I'm going to select it. I'm going to go back to Transform, and I still have Distort selected. So then I'm going to go and pull it so that I can see where these lines make sense. So I'm going to pull down over here, over in there, and that looks pretty good. If I needed to do further distortion, I could go back into Transform, and there's something called Warp as well, which gives me extra handles here, so I could pull, when I click on them, I can pull from the middle as well, but I don't need to do that for this. When I've got it the way I want it to be, actually I'm going to pull down a little here more, I think. And then I'm going to go back to the Distort option. I'm going to push it up a bit, actually, because I've lost some image off the page there. And so by doing that, I might have squished a little, so I can bring it up too. So you see that? So it's gone all over. And if I hit sort of, I can use the, if I hit the Shift key, sometimes it keeps it from moving in one direction. So I remove the Shift key and it lets me go in multiple directions. Okay, so when I have it where I want it, there's an arrow, a check mark up here. So I check the check mark and it has set those changes for me. So I may want to also play with the coloration of it. So if you go under Image, Adjustments, you can play with a lot of different aspects. You can change the brightness and the contrast, but I'm not going to play with that. What I'm going to play with right now is under Adjustments. I'm going to play with the Hue and Saturation. So you already should have a sense of what Hue and Saturation is. So if I pull this, it's changing what that hue is, and when I hit saturation, it's making it more vibrant. So it's pulling the gray out of it, okay? And so using the lightness is adding a layer of dark. It's not making it transparent, it's just playing with that. So I don't want any of that. I'm going to put that back down to 0. I'm going to pump that saturation up a little bit, and I'm going to leave the hue where it is. I'm going to say, okay. All right, so what I want to do is I want to put this pattern on this dress. So there are 2 different documents. You can see all the new documents. Every time you open a document, it shows up here. So what I'm going to do is I am going to select this whole image. So I use the rectangular marquee to select the image. And then I'm going to copy it under Edit, Copy, which is also Command or Control C. And then I click onto this document and I'm going to paste it, which is also Command or Control V. And so what it's done, it's pasted it in a new layer. Every time you put a new paste a new document or paste anything into Photoshop, it creates a new layer. Okay, so notice my background layer here is still locked, so I'm going to double click that so that it makes it a transparent layer. So this image here is much bigger than it was on the other page, and that is because my actual document size is a different size. And even though my window pretty much looks the same, if you notice up here, this is at 66%, and when I had my Mondrian image, it was at 50%. So I can go and adjust the size of that. So I can go to Command T again, and I can go back. It automatically does free transform, but you can go and click scale, but by clicking Command T, it's automatically free transform. So then I can go and I'm on the wrong layer here. You have to be clicked on the right layer when you do that. So sorry, I'm going to do this again. I'm going to go Command T. So notice that this blue line is bigger. It's not just around that box because my image exceeds what you're seeing here in the window. So I can click there in the middle and move it around. So you can see the blue box shows me the parameters. So I am going to shrink this down in and move it up and around. So I'm looking at this and I'm trying to figure out how big I want this pattern to be. So if you think about scale, it could be a big pattern or it could be a teeny tiny pattern, and I want it somewhere in the middle. Okay, so I'm going to place this roughly over this dress. Okay, so what I want to do is create a window where you'll see this image through here. Okay, so I'm going to click the all my changes. I click with that check mark up there. I'm going to hide this layer for now. Then what I'm going to do is on this base layer, I'm going to create my window. And that is a mask. So you see here, this white box with the black circle in here. You can do things in many different places too, because you can also, I thought you could make a mask here. It's got a clipping mask, which is a little different. We're just going to hit the mask tool right here. Okay. So, oops, but I want it to be on this layer. I was on the wrong layer, so I'm going to click here and put it on the layer with the dress, okay? So I'm going to zoom up here, and what I want to do is, notice I'm going to just do this quickly. I'm going to create a box here, and I'm going to, with the paint bucket, I've got black as my foreground color here. If I click in that box, nothing happened. I've got to be clicked on the mask right here. Sorry, maybe I wasn't clicked on my mask. Clicked on my mask. I click the paint box. All right, there we go. Okay, I hadn't clicked something properly. So you notice there's a black rectangle here. So I am going to zoom out for a moment. I'm going to show you another tool. This is the magic wand. So with many of these tools, there's a little teeny tiny arrow there. That means that there's other tools in there. So I want the magic wand, okay? See these little teeny tiny arrows? So the magic wand, and what the magic wand does, it selects everything that's a similar color pixel. So I have the tolerance set at 20, and when I click, notice these dancing ants, and it's selecting all this color that's similar to the actual pixel that I clicked, either 10 plus or sorry, 20 plus or 10 or 20 minus. That's the tolerance. Okay, so now I can take this paint bucket, the paint bucket, and click in here, and it's going to fill all of that with black. So I'm going to go back, get my magic wand again, and select some other areas, and I'm holding down the shift key to select multiple areas at once. Okay, and then I am going to take my paint bucket and click in these areas, and you notice how it's filling up this much more. Okay, so now I can take this rectangular marquee here, and I can fill as I did before. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down here, and I'm going to show you how I can also take a paintbrush. Okay, and my paintbrush is going to take this top paint, and we can click up here to change the size or the hardness. So if I click on this soft round one, notice the hard is 0, or I can click here and get a hard. And here's the size. I can move this around so I can see that size, and notice if I move it up, I get a big giant size. So I want it just about where that was. And what I'm going to do is I am, again, reminding you that I'm on my mask layer, and I am going to paint my paintbrush with black, but because I'm on the mask layer, it's actually wiping it away. Okay, I'm going to put this on hold for a moment while I do some more work and come back. Okay, so I cleaned up the bottom, but I need to remove this woman's head too, because I'm just wanting to get the dress. So one of the tools I can use is this Lasso Tool, and so you can free form draw with the Lasso Tool. And another way you can fill instead of using the paint bucket is also to go up to Edit, Fill, and you can choose black, gray, white, foreground color, background color. So if I use the foreground color, it's also black because that little box that I've been using is black. So you can say, okay. And so the reason why I'm using this Lasso Tool, this takes a little bit of practice. And again, I'm using my left hand, which is a little bit crazy. But so I can draw a curve, and then if I have my finger on this when I'm dragging. So my finger is holding down, but then I can hit Option, and I can lift my finger up and click, 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 click. Now some people don't like this tool. It takes a little getting used to, but I like it because I can switch back from curves to solids. So I have my finger still on the Option button the whole time I was doing that. So when I let it go, it turns into dancing ants, and I can go up to Edit again and Fill. And if I go to something often enough, I can look at the Command key, which is Shift F5. So I could do that and fill with this. So I'm going to continue to fill in her head and put it on hold in a moment. Okay, so you see here I have deleted everything but the dress, which I want to fill. And again, to review, I did that with the combination of using the Lasso Tool, the paintbrush, and using boxes and the magic wand. And every time I selected anything, I filled it with black, either by going to the paint bucket with the black showing, or by going to Fill and making sure that when you hit that, it's black. Okay, so now I am going to, there's a lock here, I'm going to unclick my mask, and I'm going to drag it up to this other layer, and boom, there it is. That's what it looks like, putting a mask